The need for African leaders to invest in functional education to drive economic growth in the continent has been emphasized. This was the consensus of African leaders and stakeholders in the education sector at the 2024 Goodluck Jonathan Foundation Dialogue held at Victor Waifo Creative Hub on Airport Road, Benin City. The event, which coincided with the Education Week in Edo State, attracted the attention of top African leaders and dignitaries from all walks of life. The high-level dialogue created a platform for African leaders and stakeholders to explore the role of education in fostering African growth and development. In an address, the hosts, Governor Godwin Obaseki, noted that despite African economic potential, the challenge of engendering sustainable development has continued to hinder her advancement, and therefore called for a deliberate effort to drive functional education in the continent.
We were convinced that except we make sustained investment in basic education, we will not be able to reform our society. That was what led us to design and implement a very ambitious reform program in public education called Edo Basic Education Sector Transformation, popularly known as Edo BEST. This has brought us to the attention of other states in Nigeria and other countries on the continent.
The chairman of the occasion and the former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, advocated for increased investment and reform in education to foster economic growth, diversity, and inclusivity to prepare African leaders for the future.
We share our experiences in Kenya to illustrate the importance of functional education and the place of political leadership in making this dream a reality. Political goodwill is very key in implementing strategies and mobilizing resources to unlock the potential that lies within or outside our continent for sustainable growth and prosperity. As a continent, we must look at our curricula in comparison with the changing global needs and embrace that aims to foster critical thinking, innovation, and creativity, as this will bolster the continent to unmeasurable heights. Let us intentionally empower our young people, intentionally allow ourselves to be held accountable as we carry our duty to our people. Unity is our strength. Africa has a lot of potential, and we have the key to usher the continent into an era of prosperity, peace, and sustainable development.
The keynote speaker and chairman council, Cavendish University, Kenya, Professor Lubayi, advocated for the setting up of special schools for most gifted and talented children to drive innovation and inclusivity in the African continent.
If this continent is to rise at all, and I'm repeating myself, every town must have a special high school for the most gifted children. And those children will come from the poorest families and the richest families. This is democracy. This is how you lift the poor. You lift the poor by taking their children whom God has given gifts and putting them in special schools.
The special guests, who include the former president of Benin Republic, Boni Yayi, former vice president of Nigeria, architect Nnamdi Sambo, former governor of Anambra State and presidential candidate of Labour Party, were unanimous on the role of education in driving national growth and economic prosperity.
Functional education is one that prepares our young people to be engaged citizens, competent professionals, and ethical leaders.
Education and leadership, two pillars upon which any thriving society must be built. When we speak of functional education, an education system that equips our youth with the skills, knowledge, and values needed to navigate the complexities of the modern world.
The most important fundamental for development is ensuring that the more educated the country is, the more developed. And we know that is what is keeping Nigeria today from developing. You cannot develop when Nigeria today, ranking in human capital, is 163 out of 174. The crisis we are facing in Nigeria today, especially in the north, are people we abandoned uneducated yesterday. I think we can leave them in poverty. We have to invest in education and pull more people out of poverty. If all of us have to sleep with our eyes closed.
It is part of our constitution that education up to this basic education level and secondary school is compulsory and free. But again, as we said, achieving it depends on the effective leadership that will be provided.
The goodwill message of His Royal Majesty, the Oba of Benin, was delivered by his daughter, Princess Iko Yewen.
Against the usual norm in Africa, Dr. Jonathan demonstrated his good breeding, patriotism, and statesmanship when he willingly conceded victory to the opposition during the presidential election of 2015. This singular decision averted what would have been a major calamity in the country resulting from the election, thereby strengthening the democratic consolidation process in Nigeria.
The event also featured a panic section.
Collective vision or aspiration for us as a people. The Bible states that without a vision, people perish. And African nations must come to a place where we have a consensus agreement of what we want to become.
Effective leadership will not be effective without inclusion of women in the forefront of governance.
And so we had to start by focusing on the lower 70% who were not as proficient as we would like them to be. Having done that in the last 6+ years, we have now expanded to our secondary and technical vocational schools. I think I would say at this point, at the exit of this administration, one of the things we are going to leave behind for the incoming administration is the blueprint to continuing all that we started. We've identified some schools.
The reimagination of the pivotal role of education is getting louder and louder.
We know that we want to industrialize, but who are we looking at as the examples of the kind of industrialization we would love? I think we are still making a mistake.
Education has always been part of the most important requirement of the growth of any country, its economy, its polity.
High point of the occasion was the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between Goodluck Jonathan Foundation and the United Nations Development Program. Austin Ayenin reporting for VOS TV News.